Jump is a Korean martial arts comedy. It's got an open-ended run in Seoul and multiple companies throughout the world. It's played on the West End. It's played throughout Europe and throughout Asia as well. Japanese company, I believe a company in Singapore right now. And it's the first U.S. engagement for the show. It's a non-language reliant show, and it's very action oriented, but also very comic. Comic in the sense that it's a little bit like Three Stooges meets Charlie Chaplin meets Jackie Chan. Comic in that way, and it's kind of a unique experience in its athleticism as well as its kind of broad physical comedy.
This is really more of like a sports team than actors. They're usually here around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they do a lot of stretching. They do a lot of calisthenics. They rehearse the show extensively. They're always working new bits into it. They're sometimes restaging some stuff. They're always working on the show. It's not really set the way a traditional play would be set and then just repeated every night. They're always working new things into it. But because of the physicality of it, they're after the performance, they're on stage and they're putting ice packs on themselves, and they're really taking care of their bodies for at least as much time every day than they're actually performing on stage.
Luckily, we have an artistic director for the company here who speaks pretty good English, and so we're able to relate to the company mostly through him, although they've picked up a lot of English since they're here. I haven't picked up much Korean. But it's been, it hasn't really been that problematic. They're very professional, and they work out for hours a day. I mean, they're really some of the most professional performers I've ever met.
Backstage during the show, the crew is, they interact with the cast directly, and at first there was a lot of charades going on back there, because when the cast arrived here, they didn't speak very much English, most of them. By now, like 3 or 4 months into it, they seem to have a working vocabulary, but at the time it was a lot of pointing and miming things, and a lot of learning by example.
The language barrier hasn't been hard. One of the hard parts is, it's such a physical show. We have 2 casts that alternate performances, and they need a lot of physical therapy, and they have a lot of cool down time and a lot of warm up time, because it's an extraordinarily physical show.
The sound design, it's so elaborate and so precise that it's not called by the stage manager. It's that the sound person has to come in, and the sound person has to learn the show and learn the choreography and just be reactive. He has a keyboard that he plays at some point to do some of the sound effects, and it's completely visual. There's just no time. There's so many cues so quickly that that they just have to watch the show. They have to learn the show and just kind of react to it as it's going on, because it also changes a little bit every night. And they also keep working on the show, and they sort of change it as they go along. So, it takes the stage manager a couple of days to learn how to call the show. We train our sound people for at least 2 weeks.
Yeah, all of the music in the show is original composition music. There's one moment of some classical music, but it's all original composition that was all devised for the production in Seoul that we also use for this production here. But one of the most amazing parts of the show is the floor. It's like a gymnastic floor, but it's even springier and much more absorbent because the cast does tumbling runs and falls, constantly during the fight sequences, and it's really designed for them to be very, very hard on that floor and ease the impact on their bodies. And also, there's you might see just right back here, there's some walls that run up the side, and at the end of the show, the cast actually runs up those walls about 12 or 15 feet in the air and jumps backwards off of the walls. And it's amazing. It's one of the most amazing physical things you'll ever see on stage, I think. Well, we're getting a wide range of audiences. We're getting a lot of family audiences, especially on the weekend, because it's great for kids because it is such broad comedy, and it's also so action-packed that the kids really love it. But we also get, karate and martial arts enthusiasts. We get a lot of college-age students just because it's kind of fun, light comedy. It's not a show if you're coming out to, have your life changed by theater. It's a show to come out and enjoy. Oh, it's one of the most exciting shows you'll see as far as physicality. I don't think there's any show in New York that can match it. And also, it's something that's enjoyable on multiple levels for not only the physicality, but the comedy and the way it's devised, and the dance and the music. And it's a very, very enjoyable, entertaining night out in the theater that I don't think you get from any other show.